This episode of Point of View Uncensored is sponsored by Juicy Details, here located on the southeast side of Atlanta. Welcome to Point of View Uncensored. I'm Dr. Renaissance, and today we have with us a very lovely Miss Kimberly Jones, activist and just extraordinaire. How you doing, Miss Kimberly Jones?
Hey, my grandmother used to say every day above ground is a good day.
I'm sure you know of the current, election that just happened. As far as people are just realizing that Stacey Abrams did not win. So, and then I just hear some people just have different takes on her being a governor, or there's reservations. Some people say enough Black people didn't vote. So what's all going on with that?
Well, they definitely can't blame her loss on Black people. That's for sure. She got over 90% of the Black woman's vote. She got 87% of the Black male vote. And that 87% of the Black male vote that she got is a larger percentage of the Black male vote than the Democrats got nationally. The national average of Black men who voted for, in the Democratic races was lower than what she got. She got 87%. And even if the other 13% of Black men had voted for her, it wouldn't have been enough for her to win. So we're definitely not going to let them pass the buck on Black men on this. Black men came up, they showed out. It was, I'm going to tell you who has been screaming that they were all in the same gang and didn't show up for her was white women. Kemp got over 70% of their vote.
And it's funny, on our last episode, I was talking with the Georgia State Superintendent candidate, Miss Alicia Searcy. We were talking about, teaching and teacher profession. I am currently a teacher, and we were talking about the fact that, majority of our teachers are white women. The only 2%, Black males as teachers. So I don't know. I think that education correlates with everything that we have going on, but some people might have different points of view. So I just want to get your take on the importance of education, as far as, even with that particular position.
Yeah. And education is super important, but I think what we need to do, especially as it pertains to marginalized children in particular, who don't necessarily always get the services and have the resources that they need to thrive and do their best, especially our students who are, neurodivergent and things like that. And so I think it's key and critical that we rethink our education system. I think it's super important that we think about the fact that people learn different. I'm neurodivergent, and I hear people use the terminology neurotypical for people who aren't neurodivergent. And it's like, what about it is typical? Like, what makes it the standard and the norm? It's like, I process information differently than you do. I also process that information 3 times as fast as you do. Why is there not a normalization of the fact that we all have different learning styles? All of us have different learning styles. And so to create environments where kids can thrive in that way is what we need to be leaning towards, instead of the rote that a lot of us don't even realize has been in place since the industrial era, because that you had to have a place to send your children while you worked in the factories. So it's like, it's not even structured in, is this the best educational practice? It's structured in, will this maintain the children while the people serve the corporation, the America, by working? And so you have these amazing, epic teachers. Thank God for our teachers who have all these great ideas and who know what our kids need, because they're there. Their teachers are in the classroom. They're interacting with them. They're seeing, when I allowed this student to do things this way, that totally changed him and brought him out. And now he's doing his work. I just got to let him do A, B, and C. I had a teacher, Miss Lumpkin. I thanked her in my last book. I had a teacher who, when she would feel that ADHD in me revving up, she would be like, Kim, do you have a lesson? Do you want to teach today? And I would be like, yeah. And she would let me teach Black history for like 30 to 45 minutes of her class. I would teach a whole lesson. She would make kids write a paper about what I taught and everything. I just needed to burn that energy, and I just needed to go somewhere else for a second, and then I could come back and focus. And she would let me do that anytime she felt like I needed it. And I thrived and got better grades in that class that I had gotten in the entirety of my academic career.
I mean, what do we do from here at this point? Now that we have, Brian Kemp back in office, pretty much the same executive branch still as the same. Like, what do we do now?
We start getting really savvy about teaching not only the kids, but people around us civics. so that they actually understand how civic works. Yellow Pain, I don't know if you know him. He went viral in 2020 for the song that he did, breaking down the executive branch from the legislative branch from the judicial branch. And he has a documentary he's made that's circulating around right now called Simplified. And it's amazing in the way in which it just simplifies everything that they're talking about. And one of the primary things that I think has held people back is that they take their vote and they don't understand what their vote gets them. Nobody has ever done a good job of explaining to people, what do you get with your vote? Okay, you give your vote, you don't get a candidate. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? What you get is a candidate that is supposed to represent the people. And we think the people aren't doing anything, but the people are doing things. It's the people who know how to work their system. It's the people who know what their vote gets them. It's lobbyists, it's corporations, it's activists, it's the elderly, it's people who actually understand civics and know what that vote gets them. They know how to get the vote that they want. They know how to get the legislation that they want. And people think you have to be some multi-million-dollar company and have a lobbying firm in order to be successful at that. And you do not. I mean, you do at the federal level, and keep it a buck. You do at the federal level. But at the local level, you don't, man. I know for a fact that 6 young women from Agnes Scott, I think it was 6 of them, but it was a group of young women from Agnes Scott got a rape law changed, a bunch of teenage girls. Because they understood grassroots lobbying. They understood how to solicit in City Hall. And they got a law changed. And I can name you story after story after story of community organizations. We're looking at all the book banning that's happening around the country. It's like we're actually paying attention to how it rolls out. It rolls out because a group of moms go to a school board meeting, start kicking up dust and a ruckus, putting the pressure on the people on the school board, and they know that these women mean business, that they show up, that they'll get petitions, that they'll do whatever needs to be done. They've established themselves as being that. And so they start kowtowing to them, and they start changing book selections and making and creating laws and systems that are going to impact marginalized children the most. But these Karens are showing up at the school board meeting and know how to grassroots organize, know how to build unofficial PACs in their neighborhood and get done what they want to get done at the local level, because they know that's where they have the power. And we teach people, we indoctrinate people into saying things like, I ain't going to vote. Them people going to do what they want to do anyway. And that is the greatest marketing tool they ever created, because a hopeless man won't move. And that's all you're doing, is creating hopelessness when you convince people that they can't do anything. If you show them the stories and teach them how to understand the system, so they understand where their power lies and they learn how to utilize it, they start recognizing things like, oh, they pull the jury rolls from the voter rolls. Oh, so we want more of us in the jury pool so we don't get another Trayvon Martin. We got to register to vote, even if we don't want to vote, because we got to be registered to vote in order to get pulled over into the jury pool. That's how the Ahmaud Arbery case was won. First, the activists went down there and made noise because the case was closed. Then the voting registration activists came down there, started getting everybody registered to vote so they could affect that jury pool. Then the second half of the politician kids, the lobbyist kids, got down there, found a DA that was actually going to try the case, put all of the engines and powers they had behind him, got him in, he won, he tried the case, they had affected the jury pool, and we got justice for Ahmaud. Got to be strategic.
You hear a lot of times, like I said, as being a teacher, even we get low turnout coming to the schools. Like even with, a lot of parents that they may have to work 2 or 3 jobs. That really is what it boils down to. It seems like we are just too busy. We're too busy to do civic duties such as things like these, as this. So what about those families, or how can we support them?
The most impactful group of voters in this last session was Gen Z, the young kids, the kids that are under 25. And we didn't engage them because we were so used to the millennials and the Gen Xers who just threw up their hands because it looks like the boomers was never going to give us an opportunity to leave. They were just going to hold on to it with their cold hands and be like, I'm never letting go. So the millennials and Gen X just said, fine, you can have it. I don't want all that stress. No way. I'm going to be over here starting me a t-shirt company. Child, I can't. You know what I'm saying? And the Zers is like, nah, we gonna go toe to toe with these boomers. Like, they do not speak for me. They do not get to. So the Zers came out and crushed it, but they did it on their own because we weren't talking to them. We weren't talking to them, not the way we should have been talking to them. We weren't asking them what they wanted. What did they see going on? What laws did they want to change? How much do they know about civics? Do they understand how they can go to city council meetings, go to their commissioner meetings, and seeing how the budget is being spent? Got to keep in mind the most powerful people are the legislators, because they affect the things that affect you day to day, which is policy, law, all that, and the budget. They manage the budget. And if I've learned this throughout life, no matter what, if you want to know the truth about something, follow the money.
And I just want to always come from education point of view because I am an educator.
Yeah.
When you just think about the stuff that's going on in these schools, like, you know, what is it that we like? What do we do in that situation? Like, what do we do with in these situations? Because that it's just, when I say it's catastrophic, it's catastrophic. Like, I'm concerned, like, for our future, as far as definitely with our children.
Yeah, I think it's tapping into some of the local organizations that are doing social justice work and really first of all, having a conversation, having a roundtable between the community activists and the teachers to say, please first let me understand what you're dealing with in this system, and trying to educate our children and what things are you facing, and we may not get you all of the world that you want, but what does the world that you want look like, so we can think about how that can be legislated. You know what I mean? And so we can think about both how it can be legislated and how it can be financed, because we're going to have to go to the legislator with a plan on how it's going to be financed, because otherwise they're going to say, you just want me to start a new budget line? I don't think so. And it's like, I know. Y'all got a whole budget line in your budget for recreational whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop for ages such and such and such and such and such and such and such. You got a line under that says schools. We want to go under that subline that says schools. Like, we got to really understand how the system works. You know what I'm saying? And we got to tap in. And so it's like, we have to start having community. Like, I tell people all the time, like, you don't become an actual danger, a real danger to the system until you learn how to be a unifier. Martin Luther King was a very, very dangerous man, but they did not kill him until he started getting heavily involved in the poor people's movement. Fred Hampton was a dangerous man when he was a Panther, but they didn't kill him until he started the Rainbow Coalition. Rudy Lozano was doing everything he could for the Latino community, but they did not kill him until he had formed the Black and Brown Coalition, and they were almost single-handedly responsible for Harold Washington becoming the first Black mayor of Chicago. That's when those people got dangerous. So when you become a unifier, that's when you're doing the work, because that's when it gets people running scared. So what do we have to do? Parents are concerned about their children. The teachers are concerned about their same children. The parents and teachers really need to unify and organize. And they need to look around the community and see who those organizers are who have been successful at some of the things that they need to incorporate, and they need to go grab partnerships with them. And they need to pick one initiative that they all agree on, because we ain't got to agree about everything and every step of the way. What battle are we facing? Are we going to dig in and we're going to face together? And hey, while we're over here fighting this fight with the school board, Susie and them said they're talking about environmental impact, and they're talking about how there's more toxic buildings and stuff in certain neighborhoods, and how we got to address that. But they got learned people over there. They got scientists, they got environmental specialists and activists, and they got people who are passionate about the environment. They got vegan chefs. They got this whole coalition of thinkers, philosophers, brilliant minds over there who are passionate about that, and they're working on that. And I'm not expecting them to come over here and work with me about the school board, and they're not expecting me to come over there, and if they have an issue and I don't scream loud enough about it, they're not upset. It's not my wheelhouse, because they know if it got something to do with education, I'm gonna scream real loud. I'm gonna tell you, look over here. It's an education issue. Y'all know what it is. I'm talking about it. And we have to become masters of what we're doing so we can execute long term and not get tired in the race because we're running from issue to issue to issue to issue to issue to issue. But we got a coalition bill where we have similar interest. That's when we're gonna become real dangerous. That's when it's gonna get